Oh, there you are, Neha.
Hi,
Yes,
hi Raj.
I was saying these live sessions take some getting used to because you have to sort of coordinate. You go live and then people have to join.
Of course.
Thank you for joining us, Neha. It's lovely to have you. You
Thank you,
have
Raj, for having me.
you have built this amazing brand, Nourisan. You have some of the most delicious cookies I've ever eaten. A few seconds before, I was just telling everyone about the cookie that you bake, this one, and I can see that it breaks like that. It's not crumbly. And oftentimes, when people hear the word healthy cookie, they think it's an oxymoron.
Of
But this
course.
happens to be one of those, and it is really yum, so delicious. Uh, and it is refined sugar free, of course, but it is also gluten free and grain free. So whenever I see all of them together, I feel like it takes the joy out of food. But but eating this makes me rethink it. So tell us, how did you stumble upon this, or how did you discover this? What drove you to make these cookies? How is it? Neha seems to be frozen, guys. Can you, those who are online, if you want to say whether it is, whether you can see her, or is it me? Neha, we can't see. Yes, Neha, you're frozen. Okay, well, I think while she's fixing some of those tech issues, I just want to tell you a little bit about Nourisan brand and Pynk and what we're doing here. Nourisan also, we also have these biscottis on our platform. These are this is what the biscottis look like. They are also really amazing. It's some of the crunchiest and the most delicious ones that we've eaten. And what Neha specializes in is yes, yes. We cannot see Neha. It could be a network issue, but we're just getting started here. And what these bakes are is they're totally gluten free. They're made with mostly almond flour, and they could have some sometimes cashew flour. She does not use refined sugar. Usually it's maple syrup. So all of these, and as we were having these conversations over. I think over 20 or so trials, she has perfected these recipes. So it takes it seems easy, but it takes a lot of effort to get the right recipe. Yes, Malvika, biscotti is your go-to go-to dessert these days. So it takes a lot of effort to get these right. And Neha, are you back? Not yet. Okay. So this is when we have bakers like Neha and low carb bakes like this. Why would we ever want to go with some of those commercial ones that are filled with refined flour and so many preservatives? So that is the whole idea of what we're doing here in these wellness live sessions. We're introducing topics that are very broad from a health standpoint. Healthy can mean not delicious, so we're breaking that myth here and bringing to you brands and committed owners who are making all of this come alive. So that's our effort here. And today we have a little bit of a tech issue with Neha not able to join us, but I will faithfully represent to you what her brand is and how we are positioning this. But maybe just give us a little bit of a break. Uh, I'm going to go offline and see if we can fix this.
Hi,
Okay.
Raj. Sorry, I think there was some network issue. I wasn't able to connect.
No worries, Neha. No worries. You're here today, and I think I talked about Nourisan and all of your bakes a lot. So let's dive in right now. We have, you've sort of mastered the art of getting healthy, delicious, high quality ingredient based baking together. Tell us a little bit about what your journey what your journey was, how this whole thing started.
Raj, as a lot of people know, I think Nourisan is something that is really close to my heart. And I launched this in the pandemic when at least I was cooking a lot, and then from cooking it went to baking because all of us were indoors and everybody, I think, was just obsessing over food. And I think largely a lot of people were cooking because everybody also had lack of staff. So that's how it started. And I think that I think there was this inner desire to start doing something, because otherwise I'm a mom of two and I've been a stay-at-home mom. But there was no, when I started experimenting, it's not like I knew where I was going. But magically, I think what happened was the first bread that the first bake that I actually baked and put it out there in front of people was the flaxseed bread, which is actually the most acquired taste in my entire menu. But this was closer to the same time, somewhere around this time in August, where people had started meeting each other, but they hadn't, we were not meeting in groups. And because I have a large family, one by one, all my cousins, brothers, everyone started dropping by to get Rakhi tied in. And these are people not even motivated by health, to be honest with you. So I started, I experimented giving them the bread and they all loved it. And I think whoever knows me knows my absolute love for bread as a child. And I think at various points in my time, in my long travels, holidays, I've always done weekend baking courses because I was almost like obsessed with bread. But I've gone through a gluten-free journey myself. And while while I loved bread, the health conscious side of me did not allow me to overindulge. And when I was on a gluten free journey, my breaks used to actually be flown down from Dubai. There was this Arabic woman who had launched her brand. So I used to get things like croissants, breads, madeleines, and I'll be very honest with you, eventually they would all get binned because it was very heavy on butter, very dense, very crumbly. I think the only part of the first part of the session that I got was that my cookies aren't crumbly. So when I decided to launch Nourisan, because it was very well received by a very large member of my family, and especially boys. So I started developing flaxseed bread, went on to sunflower seed bread, and then I stumbled upon something very inspiring like the zucchini rosemary cheddar bread, which is almost like a savory tea cake when you eat it well toasted. So then the recipe started developing. So the one thing that I said to myself was, because I got reminded of the time where I used to bin 10 kilos worth of gluten-free bakes into the bin, flown down from Dubai. So it was a promise I made to myself that while I stick to my health promise, I will also make sure I stick to a taste promise, because Nourisan was launched with the idea that it has to be a balance of taste and health.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's how.
And it's not just a balance, right? Like this cookie. It's so delicious. I would love to. I mean, I would pick it over anything else. Meaning that you give me this cookie and something that's made with maida and refined sugar, supposedly no compromise on taste, right?
Yeah.
I would pick this any day
And
because
I have
it's delicious.
I have to tell you one more thing, which is actually really special about the Nourisan cookie. Although it's not made with keto sweeteners, it's diabetes friendly. We have tested it on patients, and it does not give you a sugar spike. And but of course, we have to be mindful of the fact that it has to be eaten in small quantities,
Yeah.
because for a person suffering from lifestyle diseases like diabetes or thyroid or PCOD, it's not necessarily the kind of sugar that they are consuming, but it's the amount of sugar. So unless
Yeah.
it's a keto sweetener, every other sugar could be bad or could be in negative light for people suffering from these diseases. But we've tried the Nourisan cookies on them, and it's worked beautifully. So I
Yeah.
guess it
Simply
always.
Great point. Simply because it's healthy doesn't mean that you can eat unlimited quantity.
Overindulge, yeah.
We still need portion control. Neha, you've always been, as we've discussed, you've always been health oriented from childhood. You somehow, you are wired that way. But this whole emotion got heightened during your mother's health journey. Right? How did that happen?
So I think Raj, I think a lot of my health orientation definitely comes from my mom. And as a child, I, a lot of people say that whoever is on a health journey, whoever has introduced healthy products has always had some medical history. So I don't know if I can attach my story to any medical history, but I did suffer from severe nephritis at age 3, where I was given a saltless diet for 1 year. But my mom has always told me that I carried forward that diet with elegance, with no tantrums, and everybody would wonder that how can a 2 or 3 year old child actually consume food like that. But apparently, I never troubled her. So she and I would like to believe that I was probably just born like that. But there was a conscious mindset of not consuming salt. I have to say that because that is something that I needed to stay away from to maintain my. But after that, there was never any health issue or anything. So when my mom got detected with cancer more than 10 years ago, it came as a huge, huge, huge shock to me because she's someone who's always led a good, balanced, healthy lifestyle. But while I was absolutely responsible for her recovery. I took it upon myself, and also, we have that trust in each other. Suddenly I started realizing how much there is a story in my head who wanted to rely on food as medicine, and it was very, very clear in my head. And that's when I started realizing that I'm truly, truly committed to health, and I truly see food as healing, as medicine. So while the doctors were going through their journey of prescribing her with chemotherapy, medication, radiation, uh, I took it upon myself to go further into this recovery through food. And she, of course, at all points in time, uh, what can I say, she agreed, or she agreed to follow it, because at that time, 10, 12 years ago, for people like us who come from traditional backgrounds, to go dairy free and all of this was unheard of. So while she was, and she beautifully went along with it. And touch wood, she's all hale and hearty. She's absolutely doing well. So that's the time when I actually understood my commitment towards health and recognized the deep commitment. And while we went took her to a lot of Ayurvedic clinics and stuff like that, and that time I had a little bit of a lower back issue which no one could actually detect. So the doctor said that maybe there is a bloating issue, maybe there are larger muscles which have gone laxed after kids. So you should try and do a gluten-free diet for a while, just see if it makes a difference. That's when my gluten-free journey started. I don't know if it made a difference, but I knew one thing, that if my mom can go vegan and dairy free very foreign to them, I can definitely go gluten free to support her. And when I actually analyzed my diet, I realized that it does not even actually contain that much gluten, because I would eat rotis of different flours, and this is like I'm talking about more than 10 years ago. And like I could never make a meal out of a pasta. It could be like 3 4 bites of my meal, but it needed to be supported with a big bowl of veggies and all. I've just always been like that. So yeah, that's how it started.
Very heartening to hear that, with some of these changes, your mother's
Yeah.
recovery was so complete. I think
Yeah.
that's an amazing turnaround story. And this
It
heightened
was
your,
it yeah, it was tough, Raj, because it was not that popular amongst, say, maybe their age group or our kind of traditional background. So a lot of people, and when we went to the doctors, they would say, "Doodh piyo, ye khao, wo khao," everything that on the side our doctors who were visiting were saying not to do. So, there were a lot of other family members who were wondering, like, what is going on.
right,
But
right. Yeah, and it took a lot of persistence on your part also to go through this, right?
It
It
did.
can be a lonely journey.
It
Uh,
did.
so this, this introduced you also, I mean, through your own brand as well as through your mother's health journey. It introduced you to work with a lot of nutritionists and dietitians, right? And I have been to some who've recommended your products. So what do they see? Why do they do this? Why do they recommend?
So I think, first of all, Raj, I think what happened was when I started developing my recipes, I just naturally got drawn to almond flour, seed flour. So as my menu started developing, or the thought process started developing, um, I realized that all my breads are turning out to be keto. And also during the pandemic, keto had become a very big talk of the health world, like the new weight loss um, popular mantra or fad or whatever. For me, when I saw my couple of weights in totality, that's when I realized that, oh my God, they're keto. So when I realized that it's developed into a keto menu, I instantly realized that it will be something which will help the journey of the people who are trying to fight, like I mentioned, diabetes, which is actually the biggest growing concern these days, and
Mm-hmm.
especially in India, because we are almost number one or heading towards being number one capital for
Yeah.
diabetes. So I launched this with the thought that I would want to work with medical practitioners so that they can go out and offer especially my breads, to all these people who could actually substitute a regular bread and hoping that they could see the taste in it like the way I
Mm.
could see it. And it did happen because lot of these doctors and their patients or their clients would actually eat the Nourisan bread as their meal and monitor their sugar levels. And it's always been so it keeps them so because it's nutrient dense, it keeps them full and satiated for longer periods of time.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, certainly it's useful for diabetes and other lifestyle diseases, but it's
Yeah,
also generally a good lifestyle choice, right, that we
it
can
is.
all make, whether we're in the pink of our health or not.
Think so. In fact, the almond flaxseed bread from the Nourisan menu is the fluffiest in texture and the closest you can get to regular bread, in spite of it being grain free. Because usually grain free breads, gluten free is okay because you can use jawar, you can use millets, and you can achieve that. But when it's grain free, it gets very gritty and it doesn't taste good to the. So that's actually what the nutritionists found, that it's great to taste. And I think I've been told that in every conversation of mine, um, the commitment to health was very evident and very clear. And from day one, all the bakes come with all the ingredients transparently listed, along with their nutritional analysis. So even though the desserts don't need it, because I'm not trying to promote my desserts as a protein supplement or whatever. So ideally you don't need the values, but I have all of it. Just
Uh,
for people's knowledge, so that people can make their choices based on what health journey they are on. Are they on a weight loss journey? Are they on a medical recovery journey? So every decision will be made based on what their health needs are.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one thing to, what amazes me also about you is it's one thing to sort of convince yourself about a certain health journey, right, and cater to those who believe in it, right, through your brand. But your family also followed you along in this journey, right? And maybe they were naturally wired. So I'm curious, how did your entire family join you in this in this healthy lifestyle way?
To touch wood, Raj, I've actually been very fortunate. Um, my say when you start talking about family, so you with my husband, and he's always been very supportive, and it's not necessary that he's on such a exclusion diet or anything of exclusion. He eats whatever he wants, but he's also very fascinated by this health world. And for people who know me, he comes from the F&B background. He's a hotelier and has launched F&B brands. So he understands food, and he understands food as a science. So he finds this whole healthy food very interesting and very fun to read up with. So he, in fact, introduces me to a lot of fun health concepts. So that's his reason to actually participate. But I think what I have managed to achieve is, I think I've managed to create an environment in the house where I'm leading by example and not by force. So even my children, I think they are very aware. The environment in the house is such that they are very aware whether they are eating for health or whether they're eating for taste. And since there is never any, and luckily they don't really have a massive sugar palate or a junk palate. So they won't easily go to something very buttery, something maida or whatever. That's my older one. My younger one actually loves bread like the way I do, but he's only age 9, and at 9 years of age he loves his white bread, but he is the one who loves each and every Nourisan bread. So that's actually very rewarding.
Yeah. And
So
he's
we
become a
managed to
teacher of his own, right? He's telling
start.
other. He's become a teacher in some way, right? He's telling other students fruit juice is not good.
Yeah, I think so, because Raj, also he's been a part of my launch journey, because this was in the pandemic when he was so small that he's so dependent on me, he would always be around me. So I think he's heard me talk to people, because when I launched Nourisan, people almost mistook me to be a nutritionist, and they would actually call me for their dietary needs. I've had people who have suffered from cancer and all wanting to talk to me about their nutrition needs, where I would have to tell them that I can share my personal journey with you, but it's not my place to talk about anything beyond that. You must consult a nutritionist. And he's read messages of clients, feedback, everything. So I think he takes a lot of pride in what I'm bringing to the table for a lot of people's taste needs and health needs.
Okay.
And like, I'll give you an example about something that I have taught my children. Forget talking about aerated drinks or maida or whatever. I have always told my children that even fruit juice is not a health choice. Fresh made home juice. So I've always told them that a glass of orange juice is for fun and for taste. A glass of orange juice is not for health, because it's so high in sugar and so little on the fiber count as compared to one orange in whole. And um, and they've actually accepted it. They've actually accepted it like one science or whatever. And very recently, the school that my kids go to, they've been doing a project on nutrition, teaching them how to read labels, and we've had a lot of doctors, nutritionists come and address the children, and one of them actually gave the same example of fruit juice, the same, and so my little one was so happy, because it kind of reassured what he has heard from home, because ultimately when it comes from doctors, teachers, professionals, it brings home the point much more than your own mother.
Yes.
So yeah, so
Yes. I'm on tight.
yeah, exactly. Like, she's not mad.
Exactly. Yeah, good. You're, talking about kids. Your kids also have a lot of, you said, snacking needs, right? And of course, you're more a baking person. So how do you address those needs,
Yeah,
snacking needs?
one concern. Now it's a concern. I'll tell you why. Because I think the one thing that they love and they do not want to compromise are on their savory snack needs. So all this while I was like, okay, a little bothered about the fact that it's so high in salt, because like I mentioned, I've always stayed away from high salty foods. In fact, I've only started snacking a little bit now, because both my boys snack all the time. So if I snack sometimes, then they end up calling me Munchie Mama. But so all this while I felt that it's okay, because I don't have a struggle with the other things like sugar and junk biscuits and cookies and cakes. In fact, my older one, I think, has never eaten his own birthday cake. He's not into desserts at all. So it's never been an issue. But what started bothering me was when I joined as a Pynk team member. So it was a huge revelation for me, which I had completely ignored, that the savory snacks are actually, most of them that we buy from outside. I thought I had achieved a lot by telling my child, don't eat Lay's, eat the chips that we get from the down the road snack store, because it's no preservative and no artificial salts or herbs or whatever. So I thought we had taken away a lot of evils from that decision. But what I realized was that all these snacks are made in palm oil and all the possible carcinogenic oil.
Huge
So
problem.
this is what, yeah. So this is what my journey with Pynk has taught me and brought into life. That this is a huge concern. So the way we decided to address it is that they kind of want 3 helpings of snacks through the day. So to begin with, we have decided that we reduce that 3 helpings to 2, because I definitely don't want to take away the one thing that brings them so much joy, and little bit substitute it with a little bit more, like say home roasted makhanas, or what can we say? Yeah, I think one thing we started doing a lot now at home is we have bananas coming from our farm, and because it's so much effort to bake them. It may take an hour to bake a batch this big. And Raj, not joking, less than 5 minutes and it'll all be gone. But now we are making an effort to make those banana chips a lot more at home. But these small things, but I want to give my kids time to have their own understanding. They all obviously, I've already driven home the point. So slowly they will make their choices and they will evolve, you know?
Yeah, it's not good to stress so much about
No,
right.
no. And especially when I think 80% of their day is seamlessly taken care of, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a realization in my mind, which I have already communicated to them.
Yeah, it's good to have a balance between how you are
100%.
consciousness in eating.
100%. And see, Raj, they are so young right now, right? We don't want to bring them up. Just one thing that I always feel, I believe, and I also tell lots of my other friends who have younger kids, that we don't want to bring them up in a sensitized environment. We can't make them so health conscious or sensitive. My 15-year-old in 3-4 years, he'll go to university. I cannot control what quality or what kind of food will be available to him. So he should not start, he should be equipped with a gut or the strength.
Yeah, we're losing you in.
While you're making choices, but you shouldn't be handicapped by them.
Neha is in and out a little.
Sorry?
You're in and out a little, but I think we got it. I think you were saying that we have to make sure that they have their foundations right and help them make their choices.
Yeah, because I have mothers talking. I talk to mothers and all, Raj, and when they are calling me for my desserts and everything, they like, oh, you know, my child is not allowed this, and my child is not allowed that. But he went to a birthday party and he ate. Say, for example, he's not allowed aerated drinks. At age 8, of course, we don't want our kids to have aerated drinks, and he came home with a tummy ache. But you do not want to bring up your children in such a sensitive environment.
Sure. Yeah, I suppose each one has their philosophy of how they want to how they want to do this. I think the important thing is to get the foundations right, see what's okay, what's not okay, and what are the consequences of bad choices.
Yeah, and you know, when you live with that awareness, Raj, then it's very easy to make choices. And when
Neha,
to make what to.
Sorry, please finish it.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was saying that you have, this process of education. You've also helped kids create their own sort of healthy recipes, right? Through your ganache and things like that. I'd love to see one of those.
Okay, so the chocolate ganache and my chocolate tart, which has the ganache, is actually the star product in the Nourisan menu. It's also the product that I have stressed the most about, and I'm happy to have achieved what I achieved, because yeah, we use the, a lot of people use the chocolate ganache as their healthy replacement for either a Nutella or a chocolate spread. Any unhealthy chocolate bread which has large quantities of, again, unhealthy oils and unhealthy fats. So the Nourisan chocolate ganache melts very easily because it has no oil content. It's just the pure chocolate. And there's a story behind this, Raj. When I was introducing the Nourisan milk, I had breads and I had carrot cake and coffee cake, which had egg in it. So a lot of people told me that a chocolate dessert is very important, a chocolate item, because people relate chocolate much more, and also a egg-free or a vegan dessert, because people are leading. A lot of people are getting an egg allergy and they are going into a vegan lifestyle. But I had given 20th October 2020 as my launch date in my head, and I hadn't found a healthy baking chocolate. So I was like, what should I do? But there was a part of me which just didn't want to hold back, and I was very, very stressed about this whole thing. So I said, okay, you know what? I will find something, but I'm not going to dilute my values. My values of it being refined, sugar-free, grain-free, gluten-free has to be maintained. Dairy-free was not something necessarily that I was looking for.
Yeah.
If it happened, it happened. And literally, I said, I'll go with this and I will find something. I think the day of, my chocolatier sponsored post just popped up on my screen. And I happened to look at it and I felt like this is something that I can explore. So intuitively, I already knew that I'm launching my menu today, but I have found a chocolatier to work with. And I think in next 2 months, I launched my chocolate ganache, which is a combination of 3 variants. And it's something that I have just developed from scratch. It was, I think, one of the toughest things to develop. And in fact, what we've done for children, because I also give it to my kids, and a lot of other kids eat it as their pancake topping instead of a Nutella or any unhealthy chocolate spread. So what I have done is I have made these little cups for kids, and people can order like a batch of 4 or a batch of 8, and I've just decorated them with these little alphabetical sprinklers, or it could be these. So it makes it look very inviting to children, because anything healthy, everybody wants to take a step back and they feel very scared about it. So this has been really well received and kids are loving it. And the reason why I also made it in these individual 30 grams cups is because then children feel the sense of this is mine, and it's measured. So a mother who's struggling with sugar intake also does not come across as an evil person. And the person thinks that, so these are like these little dips that people consume from Domino's. They have that little sour cream or cream cheese or whatever. So it's also very relatable to them.
Yeah. So this is I think this is the thing about some of these bakes that we have to and food products that we have to put out in the market. The most mainstream options have all kinds of. There is one issue or another with the mainstream options, and if you're truly looking for some clean products, then there is a lot of effort that needs to be put in, that goes into bringing that out. So therefore, as a consumer, if I want to find them, then I have to do a heck of a lot of research to see who really is committed to that and who really is going into that level of depth to bring those products out. So thank you, Neha, for all your work and what you're doing. Ganache is also absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite, and I'm a very convenience seeking person, so I just use it just like that. I eat spoonfuls.
Yeah, you can just use it, spoonfuls of it, just to satiate yourself. Eat it with ice cream, anything.
Yeah. Okay, now I have a fun rapid fire round for you. Neha, are you ready?
Okay.
You have to immediately answer. All right? That's what this round is about. Okay. Savory or sweet?
Okay, definitely savory. I have zero
Definitely
zero
savory.
tolerance for sugar. Yeah,
You make
yeah.
all sweet stuff.
A lot of people ask me that if you have zero tolerance for sugar, how have you developed a menu? And I'm like, it's been tough. In fact, when I developed my ganache recipe and we were making batchfuls of the ganache, I would actually have this sense of overwhelm with the smell of ganache. But I've overcome that. So yeah, definitely savory.
Favorite Nourisan dish?
Favorite Nourisan dish is the zucchini cheddar rosemary loaf
Yeah,
because
okay.
I believe that it's something that this kind of combination is not available easily in the market. And when you eat it, really see if you have the luxury of eating it right out of the oven, it
Uh-huh.
just melts in your mouth. But obviously, by the time it reaches the clients, it can't happen. So when you toast it well and eat it, it literally tastes like a savory tea cake.
I
So
see.
again, yeah.
Interesting. I should try that next.
So I call it the Nourisan celebration bread.
Oh, okay. You have all these interesting names. All right. What are the three essential ingredients in your baking?
Um, okay. So
Quickly.
can I say commitment to taste, commitment to health, and a lot of love.
Amazing. The best ingredients of life. And best baking tip you've ever received, Neha.
So the best baking tip that I have ever received is that baking is actually an art and science both.
Huh.
And I have actually witnessed that in my journey along with Nourisan, especially with healthy baking. It's not like cooking where suppose if you're making a Thai curry, you say less salt, more
Yeah.
sugar, now I'll just add this and correct it or make it thinner. Baking is something which even a few grams change in any ingredient can actually alter the taste. And also you can never retrack your steps. If it's done, it's done. You've made a mistake, you've got to bin it. There's no way to take it back. So in fact, this baking tip has always stayed with me because when I launched my vegan almond bread, Raj, only a difference of 2 grams of coconut flour made the bread or 4 grams of coconut flour in the whole 450 grams loaf. Made it from yum to I don't like it, leaving a coconut flavor in my throat.
Uh,
Just 4 grams of coconut flour. So yeah, so this is the
the precision job, high precision job,
high
baking.
precision job. Yeah.
What's your comfort food, Neha?
My comfort food is anything that tastes like roti. It has to be a roti bread substitute because I don't, yeah. So anything that gives me the feeling of eating roti bread is my comfort.
Ah, not bhujia. I know you like it.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah. Bhujia. Okay, sorry, forget the bread and the roti. Bhujia is my comfort. The only go to savory snack, and I never want to give it up. Never. Thanks for that reminder, Raj. Yeah, it's something that I've grown up with and practically the only savory snack I've ever snacked on. Willingly.
Running or lifting?
Running.
Of course. What's your favorite cuisine?
Okay, so I hope people don't find this boring, but honestly, home cooked food by friends and family.
Yes. Why am I not surprised? All right. If you could bake for any celebrity, who would it be?
A celebrity.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I think I just I just read up again on, I don't know if people know this person, Nigella Lawson. She's a London-based celebrity chef, although not a trained chef. She doesn't like to be called that, but yeah, because she
Food
has this,
writer.
sorry, food
The
writer,
food
food
writer.
critique, television show host, and whoever knows of her knows her way of presenting, her art of presenting food in a really fun and flirtatious manner. And since Nourisan products are baked with the thought that less is more, that's what I believe in, that you need to evolve on a lifestyle journey where you consume less. So there's no layering, there's no icing, there's no fluff. They look simple, they look unappealing at times, if I may want to say that. So I would love to see how she can present a Nourisan bake.
Amazing.
And she has this thing of everybody who's watched her tiptoeing in the middle of the night, reaching out for that dessert out of the refrigerator. So I would like to see a Nourisan dessert lying there and being reached out by her and presented in that fun manner. So yeah, I think I'll bake for her.
I hope you get that opportunity.
Yeah, and she's also more relatable to me now because she's had this major weight loss journey. She's lost 12 kilos. Otherwise, she's quite a big, voluptuous woman.
Sure.
So yeah,
Amazing, amazing. Reading or listening, Neha?
listening.
Of course. Amazon or Pynk? My final question.
Okay, no questions asked. Pink. In fact, now that I'm a part of Pink, I'm hoping to see Pink as the new Amazon for myself for all my healthy food requirements.
Awesome. That's amazing to hear. All right, let's see if there are any questions. I mean, lots of comments are coming through. Yes, Nigella is awesome. I'm fan. Madhvika, yes, yes. Well put, Neha. Brilliant, Neha. Neha, you have a lot of fan base. People like your ganache, so delicious. Yeah, and some people agreed with the comments that you made. Yeah, so comments like that in support of everything that you're doing. Wonderful. Yeah, Madhvika, thank you. Pink. Oh yeah, that night fridge raiding is so Nigella. Okay, we have to get Nigella here someday. I think we've got a few fans of Nigella. Wonderful. So with that, we come to an end. Neha, do you want to provide any closing comments?
I would just like to say, Raj, that while I've embarked on this health journey, what I've realized is that um, eating, like I have begun to realize that eating is actually a necessity, but eating mindfully is an art because you have to make those choices. And also, there's one more thing that I have realized is that sometimes eating healthy can be a very overwhelming and emotional journey. So, if people have the right products and if they have trustworthy brands and, of course, good tasting healthy food, then I think this journey can become a little bit more joyful and a little bit more fun for them and a little bit less stressful. So I'm hoping to continue treating everyone with Nourisan bakes with that emotion of it being joyfully tasty and mindfully healthy. So hoping to
Beautiful.
carry on with that journey.
Neha, we have some questions. Maybe we can take two, and before we close. How do you ensure that your products remain both delicious and nutritious without using refined sugars? Let's say Tess wants to know, and he has another question that I'll read out in a minute. But maybe you can address this one first.
So sorry. So actually, I have I use honey and dates and maple as my sugar choices. And what is sorry, Raj? Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, how do you ensure your products remain both delicious and nutritious without using refined sugars? Implying
Refined
that
sugar.
for it to be delicious, you have to use refined sugars.
Right. So I think it's just finding the right substitutes for the right bakes. Like say, for example, I don't bake with jaggery because I feel almond flour sometimes can naturally lend a very Indian flavor to your desserts. So I stay away from jaggery because I personally do not like the taste of it and I do not want it to taste like a mithai. I want it to taste like a dessert. So I think it's just finding the right unrefined, healthy sugar option. So I believe a lot in dates. Honey
Sure.
also I feel lends a strong flavor to some bakes. I've experimented a lot with it. So
Yeah.
I've managed to create that flavor with dates and maple.
Excellent. Yeah. So there are alternate ways to sweeten without using
Yeah.
refined sugar. And they say it has also wants to know what are the most popular items on your menu and what makes them unique in terms of taste and health benefits. Maybe you can briefly answer that. We do
Yeah, so like I mentioned, it's a small menu, and each product is a star for somebody or some groups of people. But the chocolate tart, the sea salt Nourisan chocolate tart, which has the chocolate ganache in it, is by far the star product on the menu.
Amazing. Yes, I've tried that. It is a showstopper. Wonderful. Thank you, Neha, for joining us and your sharing your journey with Nourisan. It's very relatable. At the same time, it's very inspiring. So appreciate you doing that. And for folks listening in right now, or those who are listening to this on replay, please do check out Nourisan on Pynk because it has some of the very best has come into Pynk, and we can make it available to you. And here, while you're at it, just leave a comment about what other brands or products you would like for us to bring on the platform. We'd love to evaluate those, assess them, and put them on the platform. So thank you everyone for joining us. This has been great. Thank you for your engagement, and Neha, thanks for all your work, and we'll continue to work together and bring you back here another time.
Thank you,
And
Raj.
these cookies really
Thank
are
you
amazing.
everyone
I'm
for
going to
joining
have
me.
them now. Bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye bye.